welcome to another get together with What's Up, Energy Stories with a Purpose. I'm your host this evening, Sean Welsh. I'm joined by my fellow energy advisors and Cornell Cooperative Extension educators who are working on NYSERDA's Community Energy Engagement Program, Colin Atkins and Danielle Salisbury. Through this program, community energy advisors in 10 regions across New York State help residents and businesses reduce their energy consumption and energy costs and make informed energy decisions. Just a little info tonight, we're going to be chatting with John Fisher from RECAP. The topic for this evening is what's in an energy assessment or energy audit for some that may know it by that name. Just a quick housekeeping item, contact info is on the screen. We're going to be sharing John's information for the RECAP up on the screen in the chat as well. But if you'd like to participate in Facebook, you could just pop a question into the chat. We'll be monitoring that and we can get to it when it pops up. So with that said, John, welcome. Thanks for joining us this evening. And thank you for, like I said, you're from RECAP. You want to just tell us a little bit about your role with RECAP?
My role, I am the director of the weatherization department. We handle the weatherization assistance program. We also deal with the Empower program. We weatherize homes for the income eligible community. That's my role. My role is to conduct, as I say. They call me the maestro, I guess.
Yeah, you're the master puppeteer.
I'm the puppeteer. So. Yeah, no, we got a good crew. We just brought in some new guys, so we're trying to get going and looking forward to getting some work done.
Good. And we chatted briefly in the beginning. You guys are up and working now, right? Correct? New York Forward guidelines are out.
Yep. We're working. We're adhering to all the standards and wearing our masks and our booties and our gloves and. We're into houses. Most people are letting us in. Most people are comfortable with it. There are some that aren't, but we understand that completely. So we're looking forward to get as many houses as we can.
Excellent. From the home energy assessment standpoint and from a consumer kind of lens, what would you generally say is happening when you guys go to a home to do an assessment?
The auditor, once we get through the whole application process, which is fairly simple, and Rosemary and Tamara work in our office, they do a very good job at assisting people, gathering the information they need to apply for the program. We determine them to be eligible through the weatherization program. All of our jobs are streamlined to the Empower program, so we try and bring as much funding as we can between the two programs to get as much done in the house as we can. Once the application process is done, we schedule the audit. The auditor arrives at the house. He usually will start. Every auditor does theirs a little differently, but generally he'll usually start with an interview with the client. Most clients do have concerns, or they have questions that they want to know what we're doing, where we're going to be addressing things. After the interview's over, he'll do a walkthrough. Most likely he'll go outside, walk around. You look for any kind of issues on the outside of the house. You do an outside assessment, look for any holes or damage or roof issues or anything like that. We do move into the inside of the house. Generally, we're looking for two things. We're looking for energy upgrades, energy efficiency upgrades. Whether they be insulation levels, we'll check the insulation levels in your attic, the walls. Look for any kind of places where we can add insulation to it. You're losing your heat through conduction if you don't have enough insulation. If your house is more than 10 years old, you don't have enough insulation. The new codes are giving us more insulation in the houses, but even as much as 10 years ago, they weren't putting enough in that we would want to add some more. We do air sealing opportunities. Air sealing is holes in your house, basically. Plumbing penetrations, electrical penetrations, recessed lighting, attic pull down stairs, we want to cover all them and cut those air pathways off. All those pathways are leaking air out of your houses, air that you're paying to heat. You pay to heat it, and then it goes out the house. It's not doing what it's intended. So we look for those two things basically as far as an energy saving, measures. We also address any health and safety issues. That's very important. We don't do any work in houses that we can't correct a health and safety issue that exists. We check for our combustion appliances. We check the stove, the oven, the stove, the furnace, the water heater, anything that is a combustion item in the house. We check to make sure that the CO levels are safe. We check for any kind of mold or moisture issues, any asbestos, stuff like that. We usually have measures to correct those issues. If they can't be corrected, we kind of work around them, or we can't do the job in some very few situations where we can't do something. So that's basically what we're looking for as far as that.
So John, question for you.
Sure.
You mentioned codes and building codes, and sometimes I hear people get a little freaked out at the word like audit, because audit sometimes triggers some scary implications, right? But like audit in the energy audit sense is not as scary. I like to try to say to people, we're not looking for code violations. We're not going to report. The purpose of an energy assessment is to give somebody a roadmap, right?
Yes.
Can you help kind of explain, like, if you've ever encountered situations like that, what you say to people to help them understand kind of like the point of the assessment?
Well, I mean, we're really we're not there to judge or get people in trouble for what they've done. We want to correct things. If we do find a code violation that's correctable, we want to address it. But we're there to save them energy. Our whole program is driven on energy savings. The health and safety and the other stuff, that's really just to kind of protect against us really making mistakes by sealing up a house that has a carbon monoxide issue, say. It makes the situation worse. The number one rule in weatherization is do no harm. So we want to make sure everything's just safe for the client before we go in and do any work. We don't want to seal up a house that's got issues. If you have a mold issue in your house and we come in and seal it, well, now you have a worse mold issue. So those things do have to be addressed, and that's really what we're talking about.
Nice.
As far as codes, we don't pay too much attention to codes because we're not really going on a code basis. We're just there to save energy. We do things to save energy, and we want to do it the right way. It's really all we want to break the codes.
Nice. I like that motto. Do no harm. That's a good kind of working motto.
So I think for a homeowner, what areas of the home do you guys typically need to access?
Well, the number one place to access in your home, the place where you're losing most of your energy, is through your attic. That's where your insulation is. It's cold in your attic. It's warm in your house. You want to cut that connection off between the attic and the living space. That's where we generalize 90% of our air sealing is in the attic. We want to make sure any penetrations in that attic are cut off. There's a thing called stack effect. And you guys know about it, but I'll give you a brief explanation. As your house warms up, the air heats up. We all know hot air rises. Hot air rises as it gets to the top of the house, into the ceiling of that top floor, it builds pressure. So as it gets higher pressure in that ceiling, high pressure always goes to low pressure. So it's going to find any crack or hole, any kind of seam where it's going to get into that attic where the pressure is lower in that attic because it's not being forced with this stack effect. So the attic is going to have lower pressure. So as that air escapes, it takes your heated air with it. So you really want to really concentrate in the attic first, and then the opposite happens in the basement. As your air is rising, it's pulling negative pressure into your basement, and the outside air is now being drawn in this lower areas. So around like the rim joist of the house, which is the band up in the house above the foundation, we want to seal that off. So that's where your air comes in, and it comes in, goes up, rises, and goes out the attic. So it's this called stack effect that goes up and out. So really cutting it off at the top, cutting it off at the bottom is your main priorities.
Stack effect is one of my favorite topics and one always worth bringing up, I think, especially when you're talking conservation and saving energy. But so you mentioned like some areas you guys are going to access. So do you kind of like talk with the homeowner that you're going to go in there and you kind of want to clear out those areas and be prepared for you guys to come in?
Yeah, I mean, we had one just today. Our auditor did one, and he had to crawl up onto the rafters to get over stuff in the attic, and we just can't work. But that's where people store their stuff. Some people have no choices. So, it's a good time to clean out your attic and get rid of those things that you've been keeping for 30 years. The 12-band CB radio you have up there that you don't need anymore. It's a good time to clean out the attic. So, we do tell people that we do have to. There is situations. In some situations where it's elderly person and they don't have anybody to move it, we will move stuff for them. We'll do what we have to do to get them help.
That's great. That is great. So now you mentioned pressure. So that brings me to like the different tools that you guys use. And I know one of those is the blower door that has some stuff going on right now with the new opening procedures. So you want to touch on that?
Well, blower door, we want to do a blower door on every house, but it depends on the program. The Empower program is not allowing any blower doors right now. The weatherization program is allowing blower doors in single family homes, not in multi-family homes. Reason, to me that makes kind of sense because you're in the air anyway. I'm pulling the same air that you're in anyway. But as far as a multi-family, I don't want to pull the air from your neighbor who may have corona in his room into your room. So
Right.
multi-families on both programs are not allowing any blower doors, but weatherization still is allowing blower doors during a audit in a single family house.
So, John, this makes me think of the house that I grew up in. It was a really old 1700s Cape, and I remember when I was a child, like my mother getting an energy assessment. Somebody from the utility company maybe came and did an energy assessment, and I, of course, didn't really pay attention to it at the time as a kid, but now I think a lot about that. And is there special considerations that like a very old house versus a more modern construction you need to think of before you go into a building and do an assessment? I see a question in Facebook along these lines.
Well, age of the house, the older houses, they usually are more leaky just because they're older. But really, I think it's more the type of house. You said an older Cape. So the Cape Cod is generally one of the leakiest structures you can have, just because of the way it's built. With knee walls and bypasses under the knee walls and stuff like that. So, generally age of the house does matter because you have a lot more penetrations and weird things you come across, but I think more that the type of house, but each house is addressed differently and we know how to address Cape Cod. Cape Cod, yeah, it's probably the leakier of the building types, but it's also the one we can do the most work to. So we see the most improvement in a Cape Cod. So, yeah, I mean, the type of house, I think it probably comes into play even more than the age of the house.
Yeah, so it sounds like no matter the age, no matter the building type, the goal is to get into all those places that we know can be problem areas, have a look, run some tests. If we can do a blower door test, or if we can do some tests that really help us pinpoint where those leaks are and stuff, that's going to give a homeowner or renter, whoever's living there, the best roadmap to understanding how to cut those costs and save energy, right? So my question to you now is like, what does this all cost? If you're going in there for a couple hours, several hours sometimes to do this assessment, what's the cost to a homeowner or a resident? What can they expect?
Well, we work in low income eligibility programs. So if you qualify for the program, if we're there, you qualify and there is no charge. Everything is free. The cost, each project, the programs do have limits, but they're usually averages. So you can go above the limits on some and down below the limits on others, and you kind of get that number when you can. we pretty much do whatever we can in the house. And there's no cost to the homeowner at all.
And just so folks are aware, like for weatherization and Empower, they're going to qualify if they get HEAP, if they've gotten SNAP, TANF, those types of assistance programs, and they're going to qualify for weatherization.
Any categorically eligible, anybody with SNAP. There's four basics. There's SNAP, there's HEAP. You qualify for HEAP, you qualify for weatherization. SSI, anybody in the house that collects SSI, the house is eligible. And that's the other thing you got to keep in mind is even if you make $100,000 and you don't qualify, if you have a daughter that lives with you who has a son who's on SSI, then the house qualifies. So it's just, all it is one person in the house has to be eligible, and the house is eligible under those guidelines.
Well, and the assessment itself too, I know there's many other programs out there. So no matter the income, if you live in New York State, you can pretty much get a no cost energy assessment, no matter what income you are. So there's all kinds of programs out there. Folks can reach out to their local community action partnership like RECAP. They can reach out to the community energy advisors at your cooperative extension office. I think there's so many ways in, and it can be a little daunting at first, a little confusing, but there's all kinds of resources, all kinds of help.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to call us. If my particular program can't help, we know other programs that can. We also do the Fuel Fund out of RECAP. The Fuel Fund is a program that helps people that are moderately income, just above that level of low to moderate income. And they give supplemental checks to people to pay for their heating costs. So there are other programs, and we would be happy to guide anybody to any other program if they don't qualify for weatherization or Empower.
Wow,
I did want to mention, we also have the cooling program right now, which is through DSS. We are a contractor through DSS. If you have a medical need and you're income eligible, if you're serviced by DSS and you have a medical need where you need air conditioning, we do supply air conditioning. We will give you a window air conditioner or a built-in wall one that has a sleeve already.
I know that's
another program we are offering.
That's a great program, and I've had a couple folks utilize it over the last couple of years. It's
that one you have to contact DSS.
It's a very nice resolution for some folks that are experiencing some hot days, man. So John, I want to thank you. Yeah. I want to thank you, John, for coming and joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Really enjoy sending folks your way over the last couple of years here, and I want to thank you for all the good work that you guys do in the community. You guys do yeoman's work and really impact lives in a good way. So
do you guys. So good. That's why we work together. Good.
That's right. That's right. So thanks for joining us, and we will hopefully be out there and seeing you soon.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for joining What's Up again. We'll see you next Thursday.